Well, and welcome to How Time Flies for June of 2021. I'm Brian, and this is Carla, the CEO here at the High Plains. And hey, let's get right into it. First, we'll talk about May, some things that went on, and then let's talk about June. So let's get a little bit of a recap of our month of May.
Okay, Brian. Good to be back with you.
Yeah.
It's amazing how time flies around here. So in May, we started back with Colette Tours. You know, Colette Tours, international company, came back last year. They were the only bus company to keep going throughout the pandemic. And this year they started on May 10th. They brought 4 buses, totaling about 100 people. And, you know, they're just a wonderful company to work with. Their guides are just friendly and sweethearts, and their guests are absolutely loving our facility. You know, we do the Cowboy Supper Show for them privately, includes the dinner with Cheyenne Crossing.
That's why we're in the Founders Hall today, because we're set up for the Cowboy Supper Show. Yes,
we leave that table up so that whoever's listening to this can join us in June for that same dinner show.
Yeah.
So those were the main things that happened in May. It was a pretty slow month.
Moving on to June, we've got several events coming up, and let's just talk about the events first of all, beginning with the 13th. One of the most popular shows that we ever do is a gospel show with Orion and Stacy Potter, and they're coming back on the 13th. It's a Sunday afternoon at 2.
Yes, they love to just donate their time. Of course, we'll have a donation bucket out there, and that'll all go to them. But it's just a wonderful time just to enjoy their incredible music.
Oh, yeah.
And it's one of their favorite events to do as
Always inspiring, and people that come just love it. So you are invited to come on the 13th of June. That's a Sunday at 2 o'clock. The following Sunday, High Plains Live resumes again with a wonderful show. Gordy and Dallas present fiddles and flutes. This is going to be a kind of a unique show, and we're so anxious to have them on stage at 2 o'clock on Sunday, June 20th.
Which is Father's Day. So it's a great place to bring your dad or the father in your family that you want to have a unique gift for.
So Gordy and Dallas will be on stage, of course, along with Kenny Putnam, a Nashville recording artist, and everybody knows Kenny and his fiddle playing, and he's got a few really fast tunes to play for us. But of interesting note, Rod Garnett, who is an experienced flautist who toured internationally as a flautist and also with the Denver Metropolitan Opera for many, many years, plays many different kinds of exotic flutes, and the two of them go together on some of these Irish reels and dance music and things that were just amazing to listen to. So this is going to be a really cool show on the 20th.
Yes, if you missed it at Matthews Opera House, here's your second chance.
Yep, tickets are $10, I believe.
Yes, and this is sponsored by is it also sponsored by the
South Dakota Arts Council? It sure is.
And we're very thankful for their contribution to the arts, because we are one of the beneficiaries of that on a regular basis.
We sure are.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of our 2 major events in June, and of course coming up later in July, we'll talk more in the future about Day of the American Cowboy and Joey Leone, who is a jazz artist coming in, blues, the history of American blues. So we're going to get the history of American Western music, and then the next day, the history of American blues. So that's going to be pretty interesting later in July. We'll talk more about that next month. But also, let's mention a few other things going on as far as the Heritage Center here in June.
Well, the Cowboy Supper Show, our annual event. This is our 4th annual series, I guess you could say. June 15th, 22nd, and 29th. Don't forget, and Gordy and Dallas are back this year in full swing and ready to roll.
Great food, too.
We are getting a lot of reservations from people all over the nation. They're coming into our campgrounds looking for something to do and finding this is a great event.
Yep.
It's sponsored again by the Spearfish Bid Board, which I'll let you explain
The
bid board a little bit.
It's a consortium of area hotels that have come together with Visit Spearfish to promote tourism in Spearfish, and so this fits right up their alley. This is one of those events that are unique to the Northern Hills, unique to Spearfish, and so they are sponsoring this for the 3rd year. We're so glad to have them.
Yes. The goal has been to try to get people to stay in Spearfish overnight, come to the dinner show, and win-win for everyone.
Oh yeah, it's a great show.
So we thank them again for that as well. And you know, another grant that we receive from Spearfish is from the Spearfish Community Foundation. So in June, we will be sending our sheep wagon that was donated here a couple years ago by the Lamphere family over in Sturgis off to a renovation company, and that is sponsored by the Spearfish Community Foundation. They gave us a $2,000 grant to get that done, and that's matched by 2 of our favorite I guess you could say, members and those who supporters of the Heritage Center, Richard and Gloria Milanowski. They had given a donation in December, and that's going to be our match for that. So without those kind of things happening, we couldn't do something that of that magnitude. So we hope to make it interactive and once it's done, people be able to get in and out and experience what it's like to be in a sheep wagon.
Now of course on the floor right above us we have the sheep wagon that is on display that you can look into and see what it looked like. I mean, the volunteers kind of call it the first RV, which really it was from 150 years ago, really, how the sheep herders took care of the sheep when they're in these very remote areas out here in the West. They just had to live where the sheep were, and so they made these sheep wagons. And this new one that we received a couple of years ago that's going to be refurbished will be refurbished to the point where kids can actually get inside it and kind of pretend that they're out in the West in the wide open spaces looking after the sheep, and it's going to be a lot of fun for the kids to enjoy.
Yes.
So
we're excited about that and very appreciative for that opportunity.
A couple of other new things here at the museum. Talk about some things on display.
Oh yes, some fun items came in. We received a cash register that was built in 1909 in Dayton, Ohio. That was donated to us by Jim and Anita Hayter here in Spearfish. Had been used over in Westington Springs and then at our farmers market here earlier in the day. It is a beauty.
Yeah.
So we're grateful for that. We also had donated some beautiful trade pails, you call them, or brass pails that were from the 1850s.
Yeah.
Their trademark is stamped on the bottom, and that was I believe it was Debert from up in Spearfish Canyon. Their family has Rimrock Lodge, so they thought of us when they wanted to find a great place to donate their items.
Yeah, something I'd never even heard of until you told me about these today, and so this is a good look at them, and so come in and check those out here on your next visit to the High Plains. Also, click the link below if you're looking at this on the e-news, or if you're visiting our YouTube channel, you can look for this, or even on the front page of the website, look for the profile that Larry did this morning. Larry Miller did an interview with one of our board members, Jim Clarkson, so we're spotlighting Jim.
Yes, we're checking off our board members. Jim Clarkson is the vice president of our board for the second term, and we're grateful to have him and for the opportunity for you to get to know him. We so appreciate Jim. Of course, he and the Bradleys are those who covered the cost of our paving last year. And again, you know, how many times can you say thank you for something like that, of that magnitude? So.
Also, the bookstore fully stocked, ready for another tourist season, so come in for the great selection of books and gifts at the gift store, ready for you to check those out on your next visit to the High Plains, so we hope to see you then. That's about it, I think.
I think so.
All right, thank
Thanks,
you,
Brian.
Carla, and we will see you next month on How Time Flies.